Seattle, the Emerald City. A city where the morning mist doesn't just cover the skyline, it embraces it like a blanket, whispering to everyone who wakes up here. Today, you begin again. This is a place where rain is not an interruption. It is a song. Each drop tapping against windows, each ripple on the surface of the bay is part of a greater rhythm. A rhythm of resilience, of patience, of quiet beauty. Seattle is not loud. It doesn't shout for attention like other cities. Instead, it speaks softly. Through the laughter of people standing in line at a coffee shop, through the strum of a guitar in a dimly lit bar, through the simple kindness of a stranger holding the door. It tells you that greatness doesn't need to scream. It simply needs to be felt. Here, mornings are wrapped in gray skies, but hearts are wrapped in warmth. Here, innovation sits side by side with humanity. The world knows Seattle for its companies, its towers, its technology. But what makes this city unforgettable is not what it builds. It is who it builds it for. Seattle is a place where dreamers become doers, where visionaries look beyond the clouds and believe that even the rain cannot dim their light. It's not the Space Needle, nor the shining glass of skyscrapers that make this city eternal. It's the spirit of its people. Quiet, strong, endlessly hopeful. And that is why Seattle must be felt, not just seen. Because when you stand on its streets, when you breathe in its air, when you let the mist touch your skin, you realize that this city doesn't just exist outside of you. It begins to live inside you. So stay with me until the end of this journey. Because today, we won't just look at Seattle. We'll feel its heartbeat. We'll walk through its history. We'll listen to its music. We'll celebrate its people. And we'll discover why, even in the rain, Seattle shines brighter than most places ever could. Seattle's skyline is not just a collection of buildings rising from the ground. It's a story written in steel, glass, and dreams. When you first lay eyes on it, especially from the waters of Elliott Bay, it feels almost magical. The towers reflect the shifting skies, sometimes glowing with golden sunsets, other times wrapped in soft gray clouds, but always alive, always breathing. The heart of this skyline, of course, is the Space Needle. More than an architectural wonder, it's a symbol of hope and imagination. Built for the World's Fair of 1962, it represented humanity's belief in progress, in looking upward and outward, toward the stars, toward the future. For the people of Seattle, the Space Needle isn't just a landmark. It's a promise that dreams can reach beyond limits. But the skyline is not defined by one tower alone. Look closer, and you'll see the Columbia Center, a giant of strength and elegance. Around it, newer skyscrapers rise with shining glass walls, mirroring the waters and the skies, reminding everyone that Seattle is always moving forward, always growing, always reinventing itself. And yet, what makes this skyline truly breathtaking is not only its modern design, it's the backdrop that frames it. On a clear day, the majestic Mount Rainier dominates the horizon. Snow-capped, eternal, it stands like a guardian watching over the city. It whispers to the people of Seattle that no matter how tall their towers become, nature will always remain taller, older, wiser. This harmony between human ambition and natural beauty is what makes Seattle so unique. The people here carry that same balance. Seattleites are innovators, engineers, artists, and dreamers, but they are also hikers, sailors, and lovers of the earth. Every skyscraper that rises is matched by someone kayaking on the lake below, by families walking through Pike Place Market, by neighbors sharing coffee on a rainy morning. At night, when the city lights shimmer on the water, Seattle doesn't feel like just a skyline. It feels like a beacon. The glow reflects on the bay, creating an image that is less about buildings and more about humanity's resilience. It's as if the city is saying, no matter how dark the night, we will always shine. Each building tells a story. The glass walls are mirrors of determination. The steel beams are the bones of courage. Behind every window, there are people working late, chasing dreams, building futures. From fishermen who once fought the cold seas, to software engineers designing tomorrow's technology, this skyline is not just architecture. It is the collective spirit of Seattle's people. And that is why the skyline feels alive. Because when you look at it, you're not just seeing towers. You're seeing the reflection of thousands of stories, millions of footsteps, generations of hope. Seattle's skyline is not only about how high it reaches, it's about what it represents. A city that dares to look beyond the clouds while staying grounded in the warmth and pride of its people. Seattle is not just a city you see, it's a city you hear. Every street corner, every cafe, every raindrop on a window feels like part of a greater song. Here, culture doesn't sit quietly on museum walls. It lives in the voices of the people, in the strum of a guitar, in the echo of lyrics sung from the heart. Seattle has always been a home for dreamers and outsiders. People who didn't just follow trends, they created them. The city gave them a stage, and in return, they gave Seattle a soul that resonated across the world. It begins with Jimi Hendrix, a boy born in this very city, raised in humble beginnings, but destined to change music forever. When Hendrix picked up a guitar, he didn't just play notes. He painted emotions with sound. His riffs were lightning, his chords were storms, and his voice carried the spirit of a young man who dared to be different in a world that wasn't always ready for him. Even today, decades after his passing, Seattle carries his spirit like a flame, a reminder that greatness can rise from anywhere, even from the rain-soaked streets of the Emerald City. Then came the grunge movement, and with it, a wave that shook the world. It was the late 1980s and early 1990s. The streets of Seattle were damp with rain, but alive with raw energy. Bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, and Alice in Chains turned garages and small clubs into cathedrals of sound. Their music wasn't polished or perfect. It was real. It was the sound of frustration, of youth searching for meaning, of honesty in a world full of noise. Kurt Cobain's voice echoed pain and truth, becoming the anthem of a generation. Eddie Vedder's deep, soulful tone reminded listeners that strength can exist even in brokenness. Chris Cornell's powerful range soared like the city's skyline, fierce yet beautiful. Seattle gave the world this sound, and in return, the world gave Seattle its ear. But Seattle's culture isn't only about famous names. It's about community. In this city, music and art have always been about connection. Walk through Pike Place Market, and you'll hear street performers singing not for fame, but to share joy. Step into a small local bar, and you'll discover an indie band pouring its soul into every lyric, while neighbors clap, cheer, and sing along. Seattleites don't just consume art. They nurture it, they protect it, they give it room to grow. And the coffee shops. Seattle's cafes are not just places to drink coffee. They are living rooms for creativity. How many songs were written here? How many poems found their first words in the quiet hum of espresso machines? How many friendships began over a cup of something warm, while outside, the rain tapped a gentle rhythm against the glass? Seattle's culture is diversity and unity. Its painters leaving murals on brick walls. Its spoken word poets reminding us of the power of a single voice. its dancers moving under neon lights in hidden clubs. It's a city that believes art is not optional, it's essential. But what makes it truly special is the way music here reflects life itself. It's not always cheerful. Sometimes it's heavy, sometimes it's messy, but it's always honest. Just like the people of Seattle, resilient, creative, unafraid to face the storm. So when the world hears Seattle, it doesn't just hear songs. It hears humanity. It hears struggle and triumph, loneliness and love, rain and sunlight, all woven into melodies that never fade. Seattle taught us that music can be more than entertainment. It can be healing. It can be a cry for help. It can be a celebration of being alive. And that is why, to this day, Seattle will forever be remembered as a city whose culture sings louder than its skyline. Seattle is a city that remembers where it came from, even as it reaches for the future. Its history is not written only in books. It's alive in its streets, its markets, its people. Walk through Pike Place Market and you'll feel it immediately. One of the oldest continuously operated public markets in America, Pike Place is more than a place to buy food. It's the heartbeat of the community. Here, fishermen toss fresh salmon through the air with laughter. Farmers proudly display their harvest, and local artists share handmade crafts. Every corner carries stories of generations who built their lives with hard work and pride. It was here, in this very market, that the world's largest coffee company was born. The first Starbucks opened its doors in 1971. At that time, it wasn't about being global. It was about community, about giving people a place to pause, to share a moment, to connect over something as simple and powerful as a cup of coffee. Today, Starbucks cafes can be found on nearly every corner of the world. But in Seattle, that first store still stands, a reminder that even the biggest dreams often begin in the humblest of places. But Seattle's contribution to the world didn't stop with coffee. The Pacific Northwest skies would soon carry another story, the story of Boeing. In 1916, William Boeing built his first airplane right here, using wood, fabric, and determination. What began as a small workshop by the Duwamish River became an industry that changed how humanity traveled, how families were connected across oceans, how dreams could take flight. Generations of Seattleites worked for Boeing, their hands building not just planes, but futures. And though the company has spread worldwide, its roots remain deeply tied to the city that gave it wings. Then came the rise of the digital era, and once again, Seattle stood at the center. In the 1970s, two young men, Bill Gates and Paul Allen, looked beyond what was and imagined what could be. From a garage in Albuquerque to a headquarters in Redmond, Microsoft grew into one of the most powerful companies on Earth. But its spirit, its daring vision, was born in the culture of Seattle, a city that nurtures dreamers, that believes tomorrow can always be better than today. Through Microsoft, Seattle helped shape the digital world, transforming the way we live, work, and connect. And just when it seemed Seattle had given enough, another force emerged: Amazon. What started in 1994 as an online bookstore in Jeff Bezos' garage would grow into one of the most influential companies on the planet. From delivering books to reshaping commerce, from cloud computing to entertainment, Amazon transformed the way humanity interacts with technology. Its headquarters, nestled in the heart of Seattle, are not just buildings of glass and steel. They are symbols of ambition, of how far one idea can go when nurtured in the right environment. But beyond the numbers and success, what truly matters is what these companies represent for Seattle's people. They are proof that innovation doesn't come only from resources or power. It comes from vision, from courage, from community. Starbucks taught the world about connection. Boeing taught us how to fly. Microsoft showed us how to dream in code. Amazon redefined how we share and consume. And all of it began here, in a city of rain and resilience, in a community that believes in possibilities. Seattle's history reminds us that greatness is not built overnight. It is built step by step, with each generation adding its part. From fishermen at the docks, to baristas pouring lattes, to engineers designing software and planes, Seattle's people have always worked with the same quiet determination. To create, to innovate, to leave something better than they found it. And that is why the world looks at Seattle not only as a place, but as a symbol. A city that teaches us that even from modest beginnings, extraordinary legacies can rise. Seattle is a city that breathes with the rhythm of nature. Unlike many modern skylines that stand in contrast to the land around them, Seattle feels woven into its surroundings, as if the forests, waters, and mountains decided to welcome the city, to cradle it, to make it part of something larger. Step outside, and you will see it everywhere. The city is wrapped by water, Puget Sound on one side, Lake Washington on the other, with countless rivers and creeks flowing through. The sound of gulls mixes with the hum of ferries, and every evening the reflection of the skyline dances on the waves. For Seattleites, water is not just a view, it's a way of life. They sail, they kayak, they fish. Children grow up skipping stones on lake shores, while elders sit quietly watching the horizon, knowing that the water has always been, and will always be, the soul of this city. Look further, and the mountains rise. To the east, the Cascades. To the west, the Olympic Mountains. And standing tall, always visible on a clear day, is Mount Rainier. At over 14,000 feet, its snow-capped peak dominates the skyline, a constant reminder that nature is stronger, older, and more eternal than anything humans can build. For Seattle's people, Rainier is not just a mountain, it's a symbol of home, a quiet guardian watching over every sunrise and sunset. And then there are the forests, endless evergreens that give Seattle its nickname, the Emerald City. Even within the city, you're never far from the whisper of pine trees, the smell of rain-soaked earth, the comfort of green that heals the eyes and the soul. For locals, hiking is not a hobby, it's a tradition. Families pack their cars every weekend, driving to trails that wind through mossy forests, to waterfalls that roar with life, to summits where the city feels distant but never forgotten. This closeness to nature shapes the lifestyle of Seattle's people. Yes, it's a hub of technology and business. Yes, its companies lead the world. But ask anyone who lives here, and they'll tell you, life in Seattle is about balance. Work hard, but also breathe deeply. Chase dreams, but also cherish the simple joy of walking through a park on a rainy afternoon. And the rain, Seattle's famous rain. To outsiders, it may seem like a burden, but for the people who call this city home, it is a blessing. The rain softens the air, feeds the forests, fills the lakes, and creates the mist that gives the city its mystery. It's in the rain that conversations over coffee feel warmer. It's in the rain that music sounds deeper. It's in the rain that Seattle's people learn patience, resilience, and the quiet beauty of life's small moments. This is why Seattleites have a different rhythm. They don't rush as much as other cities. They walk slower. They savor their coffee longer. They find peace in simple things. They carry umbrellas not as shields, but as companions. They wear fleece jackets and hiking boots, not as fashion, but as an invitation to step into nature at any moment. And when the rare sunny day comes, the entire city transforms. People fill the parks, Boats flood the lakes, and laughter echoes through the streets. It's as if Seattle has been waiting for that light all year, and when it arrives, they celebrate it with all their hearts. Seattle's lifestyle is not just modern or urban, it's human. It's a reminder that even in a world of speed and noise, we need stillness. That even in cities filled with ambition, we must remember where we come from. And in Seattle, that connection is never lost. Here, people live with both feet in the present, but their hearts rooted deeply in the earth, the water, and the sky. Seattle is not just a place on the map, it is a feeling. It is the warmth of a stranger's smile on a rainy day. It is the sound of a street musician pouring their soul into a melody. It is the scent of fresh coffee in the morning and the sight of Mount Rainier standing proudly against the horizon. For those who live here, Seattle is not defined by buildings or landmarks. It is defined by community, by people who work quietly, who dream boldly, who carry resilience in their hearts. They know that life is not always filled with sunshine, but they also know that even under the clouds, there is beauty, there is hope, there is light. This is why Seattle touches those who visit, because it does not try to impress with size or noise. It moves you with sincerity. It shows you that progress can walk hand in hand with nature, that ambition can coexist with kindness, that even in a world of speed, there are places where the human soul still matters. Seattle teaches us something simple, but unforgettable, that greatness is not about being the loudest, or the tallest, or the fastest. It's about balance. It's about harmony. It's about creating a life that feels full, not just of achievements, but of moments. And maybe that's why, when you leave Seattle, you don't really leave it. The city stays with you, in a song you hear on the radio, in the taste of coffee on your lips, in the memory of lights shimmering on the water. Seattle lingers, quietly, like the mist that wraps its skyline at dawn. So, if you've ever dreamed of a city that feels alive, that speaks to your heart as much as your eyes, if you've ever longed for a place where progress and peace meet, where ambition and humanity walk side by side, then Seattle is waiting for you. And before we close this journey, let me say this. Every city we visit tells a story, but Seattle's story is not one you just hear. It's one you feel. It's one you carry. It's one that reminds you that even in the rain, there is always light. If this journey touched you, if you felt even a spark of connection to this beautiful city, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next story. Because around the world, there are countless places waiting to be felt. And together, we will keep discovering them, one heartbeat at a time.